Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nails and Beauty Talk. I am your host, Asia the Bird. To have a very special guest with us today. She's a fashion designer. Please welcome Aquila Farrell. Hello, Aquila, and welcome.
Hello, Asia. So
Hello.
great to see you, meet here with you.
Yeah, glad to meet you as well. So I want to go ahead and get started by asking where you're
Okay.
originally from and tell us a little about your upbringing.
Okay. So I am a Toronto native. I'm from Toronto. I lived there for many years, and now I
Mhm.
currently live in Oakland, California. So I'm a bit bi-coastal between Toronto and Oakland. Hardly home, but always repping Drake, of course. So it's just really great. But however, I'm here in the Bay, so yay to the Bay. And
Mhm.
I have roots in the Caribbean, which is Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh, that's really, really cool. That's really, really
Yeah.
great. Let's put this alcohol thing down. That's really, really cool. I want to go ahead and get into the other question. What is like your school experience like? What has been your experience like in
Okay.
high school, college? What was that experience like?
So in high school, I was the top of my class in chemistry and math. I went on to the University of Toronto to do my first degree in biochemistry, and then I went to the UK to do my master's in public health.
Hmm.
So I was geared up for medicine and did a lot of programs with the Faculty of Medicine in Toronto, but
Mhm.
then completely made a decision to pursue something different. And here I am today.
Yeah, so cool. Where did you go as far as in the UK to study biochemistry and things like that?
Liverpool. So I went to
Liverpool.
the University of Liverpool there and I did my master's in public health, which was a beautiful experience, but not
Mhm.
for me in person. So I continued everything online, which was even more challenging.
Mhm. Yeah, right. Totally understandable. I want to get into as far as just with making the shift between medicine and fashion. Like what made you, shift, from medicine to fashion?
It's a couple of things. I have always loved fashion. Fashion is who I am. It's in me from, seeing my mother sewing to seeing my aunt designing and like sketching out dresses. I've always seen it. To my grandmother teaching me how to color like in the lines. So
Right.
I've always been interested in it, but had no idea of like how to begin. And because I was good in chemistry, I decided let me pursue that. My parents were totally behind me with that, and it was going perfect. Being a Black girl who was amazing at chemistry, scoring at the top of her class, that was the next step for me.
Hmm.
Back then, there was no social media, there was no fashion design or
Hmm.
entrepreneurship track. It was, science, math, or law. So I decided
Hmm.
to pursue that. But then I realized, hey, like I really love fashion and I really want to try it. And that's how I slowly started, creating some more of my own clothes. I knew how to sew, so sewing
Hmm.
wasn't difficult for me. But I think it was my husband's career and moving to California, where I'd have to start
Hmm.
all over again, gave me the opportunity to really um, sow more seeds into the passion of fashion and
Right.
explore it more. And with that opportunity, I took it all the way. Started a fashion blog, and here
Hmm.
I am almost 10 years later, still in the industry, still thriving, and making my mark.
Yeah, that's really, really amazing. That's really, really cool. Now, if you don't mind me asking, like, where does like your husband work, particularly?
He's a Black man in tech, and I'm very proud of that because that was, again, at that time, very, unknown territory.
Right.
There was no Black people in tech when we
Right.
came to, the Bay. There was rumbles of that. If
Right.
you go on Twitter now and you go on different forums, you see that there's a huge rise in that movement. But my husband was coming to the Bay and being like, again, the only Black man in the room. And I mean, all of those challenges, watching him go through that inspired me to be the only one in the room again in my industry.
Absolutely, most definitely. I want to get into as far as your role models. Who do you consider to be your role models in fashion?
Long list, Asia, long list. I believe in like mentorship from afar. I've never met them, but I really look up to them and how much work they put in. And
Yeah.
the first person I would say is one of the ultimate leaders, Hanifa. Hanifa
Hmm.
had the brand has been somebody that I've admired, and I look at their moves and try to imitate or try to use some of their strategy in my own business.
Right.
And then another person that I love who is a little bit closer because they're both from Toronto, and I know her before all of the success, I would say, is Fumi the Label. is a fashion brand out of Toronto, and her success. She was just featured in Essence Top 40 Under 40,
Wow.
and the work that she's done is like the way she has taken over the industry. There are no words, and to see that she started from nothing and built this amazing international global brand, I'm so honored that she even takes the time to speak with me. And we talk a lot, and she helps me a lot with my strategy. So, she's my mentor closer, but I would say Hanifa from afar.
Mhm. Yeah, it's really, really amazing. I want to get into as far as you working in retail. So you mentioned in the video where you used to work in retail. So
Yeah.
what was your experience working in retail, and what are some things that you learned in that experience?
Retail was one of the best experiences I could have had while I was in fashion, because I was in university studying, but I was also able to like dabble in this retail fashion piece.
Right.
And what I learned there was sales.
Mm.
At the end of the day, the person with the most sales is the one who wins. And that's the energy I take even now. I take all of those skills and I use it now in my business. You've got to
Yeah.
drive sales. No matter how beautiful your showcases are, the sales matter. And while
Right.
I was there, I worked at a retail store, and they were giving you 1% commission on all of your sales.
Mm.
And I said, "Oh, really?" I need to drive sales. And it
Wow.
was me and my other friend, and we were competing all the time for who would be the top salesperson. She was also Black. And I said to her, she
Hmm.
said to me, "Let's work together." And I
Hmm.
said, "Together? Like, what do you mean?" She's like, "Let's strategize together where we can like sell more people." And I was like, "Great idea." And that led me to like doubling my sales skills, because we were now
Hmm.
selling at scale. We were selling like we were running these retail. We were running the change room and the cash, and
Mm.
we had this system.
Yes.
Like we were just, it was beautiful. And she's still one of my closest friends to this day, and we still are very passionate about not only fashion but business. So
Mm, yeah, that's really cool. I want to definitely push forward and talk about your fashion brand, Maraval. So tell us about the meaning of your fashion brand, and also too, were there any setbacks as far as developing your brand?
yes. So Maraval, the name is a region in Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay.
And I remember when I was thinking of a name, I said, okay, I want it to be an ode to Trinidad that would set me apart and give a bit of a nod to my roots there. But I didn't know how powerful it was. I then found out that my grandmother was born there and was raised
Mm,
there. And then I learned that it's like one of the most affluent neighborhoods in the island. Um,
mm.
and it just matches everything that I am and all of the lux that exudes through the brand. And it was initially Maraval Made because I was hand making a lot of things, but now that I'm, going to production, I decided to drop the Made and just keep it as Maraval. And the brand is really about color, as you can see,
Mm,
and taking your favorites but adding some more color to it. And I
mm,
think that whenever people speak to me, they're like, "What do how did you come up with the name?" And I said, "It's a combination of things that really matter to me: my heritage, my
mhm.
love for color, and the inspiration that I get from the country."
Absolutely. That's really, really amazing. I like the garments because I love how
Thank
they're
you.
really, really colorful. I love how they're
Thank you.
playful as well. And I
Thank
mean very summery and things like that.
thank
So,
you.
like as far as like your collection, what inspired you as far as like your collection? Like what was like the process behind building it?
So the collection kind of landed in my lap. I knew that I wanted to create this phenomenal print. When
Mhm.
I look at all of the great Black fashion designers, they are known for their prints.
Right.
Because that's where Black fashion stemmed from, right? African, Nigeria, Ghana, they're all about prints.
Right.
The West
Mhm.
Indies, Jamaica. And I said,
Yeah.
I want to design a print. And then I said, okay, what am I going to do to get a print? The licensing, the copyright, you can't just pull things. And, I've traveled the whole world. I've been to over 30 countries. And I
Wow.
said, okay, I have so many photos,
Wow.
hundreds of photos, thousands of photos. So I pulled one of my favorite photos and I recolored it. I
Mm.
recolored it. So if you look really closely on the fabric, it's a picture of umbrellas recolored
Mm.
in orange and purple that
Wow.
I've kind of repositioned on fabric. to give this dynamic and the dimension
That's
out
really
on the
cool.
print. But the first round of prints were not doing what I needed them to do. They weren't giving what I
Right.
needed them to give. So I went
Mhm.
back and I said, guys, I need us to be more saturated. My demographic is Black women, and I am a Black designer, and I knew Black women love orange and they love red. Orange. I don't know if you've seen that audio on social media. It's just a whole movement of wearing orange, and
Mhm.
Hermes loves orange, all these luxe brands. So I
Yeah.
decided to use that as inspiration. And I developed a print that I knew what type of fit I wanted. Being a new mom, but still a fashion person, I still wanted something that I can move around in, but still look
Mhm.
confident, sensual, sexy, um,
Mhm.
but still like borderline tailoring. Like you can see
Right.
the collar. So really looking at all of the types of people who would be interested in this and
Mhm.
creating garments that would match
Mm.
their needs.
And that's the beauty with like African fashion, because like how you said, it's the patterns, but also what I love about African fashion is also the opulence of it.
Yes.
The headdresses are absolutely
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You can tell it, the indulgence of the culture within the
Yes.
garments. And that's
Yes.
really, really amazing. So, there's like different designers that I really look up to, like Alexander McQueen and Mugler
Yes.
and
Queen.
Gualpe. And the reason why I look up to these designers is because not only their uniqueness in their garments, but also the amount of work and detailing, and just so out the box, they were and stuff like that. There's a Black artist, a Black designer named Patrick Kelly that I
Yes.
learned about, and his garments are phenomenal. I love
Yes.
how, he plays with color,
Yeah.
and they're very playful and very fun. So,
Mhm.
I love how different designers can be, fun.
When I started as a blogger, color was not a thing. Everybody was in black and white. And
Yeah.
you can still see a push for that right now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Neutrals,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. But I love color. Color is my thing. I've always been,
Yeah.
a colorful person who loves wearing color. There is a influencer right now called Tanika B on social, and her thing is color, right?
Mhm.
Yes, you can wear black, but it's just pushing the idea of wearing more color, and
Right.
it's just amazing to see how color has become a huge piece in fashion. And
Right.
black is still there. We love a good black, but
Yeah.
the desire to wear more color is rising.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I love, like, black and white. I mean, of course, also too, like, you
Yes.
see, like, the browns and the new
Mhm,
colors, the
mhm,
new
mhm.
brown tones, I like
Yeah.
colors too, like, I'm wearing, like, this red sweater,
Yeah,
you know
I
what
see.
I mean?
I love it.
Thank you. Wearing a nice hat. I love hats. That's my
Yeah.
favorite, accessory is hats,
I know,
you
I
know?
know. I see.
So, I love, like, how, people have their own different style and things like that.
Yes. Yeah. I think color, some people shy away from it because they might not wanna be seen.
Right.
I stand out when I walk in a room, it's like everybody's seeing me, in a
Right,
red
yeah.
sweater, in a green sweater, in a white shirt with orange pants, you're gonna stand out, and some people are not
Mhm.
confident or ready for that, but it takes a level of, like, self-awareness or, like,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
self-confidence to be okay with that, so
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely, most definitely. So I want to also talk about your fashion line, more about that. It is in dedication to your late mother, to your mother, excuse me. So tell us about your mom and what were some of the valuable lessons she instilled in you?
I sat with my mom when I was a child, and she had a sewing room, and my dad would design like, any house that he bought, he would have a room for her. And she had people coming in and out of that room. She was making maybe 5 to 10 dresses every week. And I
Mhm.
used to be like, what is she doing in there? Yes, I see a sewing machine and I see a cutting board. But one evening she took me aside and she showed me mapped out how to make a skirt.
Mhm.
And that I still use that mapping to make my clothes and to do all of the designs. So I am not. I didn't go to FIT. I didn't go to FIDM. I didn't go to Parsons. But I will sew you a dress
Mhm.
that you will never, that you will love for a lifetime. Okay, I can
Mhm.
sew. And that's from my mom. Right, seeing her
Wow.
push as an entrepreneur to sew, where she went on and she was sought after to make uniforms for Cubs and like Scouts.
Wow.
Uh, we used to have like these big bolts of like uniform fabrics being sent to my house. My mom would make all of them. She had an industrial machine, and just seeing how she fell in love with like the sound of the machine, and that's something I love too. I love the
Mm,
sound of the sewing machine. It's so calming. It's so soothing. I don't know if you've ever heard one, but the industrial machines have
mhm.
this really nice light sound that
Right.
calms you down. And you start getting into like a movement of the sewing and the
Yeah,
cutting
yeah,
and that
yeah.
whole, it's like a whole kind of like meditation thing almost, where you're just you're in that moment, and that patience to make each garment. I think my mom really instilled that in me. And I love
Mhm,
her for that. My mom is not well, but she was behind me taking
mm,
Maraval all the way. And I wish she could see and understand what I'm doing now. But whenever I do see her in person, I know she can see, we're connected in that way.
mhm,
And everything you see from Maraval is dedicated to her. The logo, if you look at the logo, the V is in a purple. So it's
mm.
black and white
Wow,
text, but the V is in purple. Her name is Vanessa, and her favorite
mm,
color is purple. So I did that for her.
that's incredible.
And I continue to put everything that she is in like the clothing.
Mm.
It's a huge, just a part of the creative design process for me.
And that's really, really cool because, like, family, or friends, people that are close to us can really inspire us to really,
Mhm,
help us mold the person that we're becoming. You know
mhm.
what I mean? And the thing is, the person that I've learned fashion and style from was from my dad. My dad taught me how to dress, and you don't have to wear like all labels and stuff like that. You can pick different things and style it up. So that's how I've learned,
And,
things and
and
lessons from my dad.
I was thinking, I used to be one of the top clients at Fendi. And
Mm,
to be a top client at Fendi, you're spending like 20 grand a year.
mm,
I was Fendi down. I loved it. And if you don't know, Fendi has a whole mandate behind diversity across race, sex, gender, color. They have a huge mandate from their creative director down, and that's why I fell in love with them. And was like, okay, I'm gonna shop here. But like you
mm,
said, logos sometimes is not enough. Like it
mhm.
doesn't really give you that creative look. And I was
Right.
like, okay, even though I love Fendi, I still want to include my style.
Right.
And, yes, I can go in there and get a full outfit head to toe, but like, okay, does that really reflect my style and my personality? It reflects maybe my bank account or like where I'm at in life, but I really want to make an impact on fashion and how I present, because that's how it means that much to me.
Mhm,
So I slowly shied away from that. Not shied away, but wanted to incorporate more,
mhm.
and just kind of change the direction.
Absolutely, most definitely. So I wanna get into, as far as fashion. So what is your perspective on the fashion industry as far as the effects of fast fashion? Do you
Mhm.
feel that fast fashion takes away from luxury exclusive fashion?
I feel like fast fashion is getting a little, um, it's overwhelming right now.
Right.
Another reason why I moved away from blogging, because I felt like I always had to be selling like the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. But again, at the time I was buying luxury. So if I bought a jacket for a lot of money, I'm not buying another jacket
Right.
until the next year. If I'm buying a dress at X amount, I'm not buying another one for the next. But fashion is
Right.
always like fast fashion is like, what are you buying next? What are you buying next? And this
Mhm,
culture of you have to buy the next trend and you have to promote that to your audience. That was not really a message I wanted to promote.
mhm,
And when I started looking at like the effects of fast fashion on our earth, not that I'm like a biologist or, environmental scientist, I just said, okay, like when are we gonna be over this? Like when is this gonna slow down?
yeah,
Um, and yes, it helps the brands, but it doesn't help, the kid in 12-year-old kid who can't be in fast fashion or cannot be buying clothes every single week. Um, so for me, I am not a fast fashion person,
mhm,
even though I know many people need that and where they are. And I really think about investing in your pieces allows it to be timeless and being more
Mhm.
thoughtful and intentional in your purchases,
Right.
be it luxury or a regular store. Um,
Mhm.
so I'm not saying you have to go luxury, but there's a whole new movement. This brand called the founder of this brand called Odd Muse out of London. She has, presented this new thing called like slow luxury, which I
Mhm.
think is genius. I don't know if she coined the phrase, but the
Mhm.
concept is clothes that are not fast fashion, higher price point, but not high luxury price point,
Right.
but still great quality. So instead of paying, $12 for a shirt, the shirt might be $80,
Right.
but it has like a luxury feel, so it will last you longer, and it's more of a timeless piece. And I think her
Mhm.
dresses go for like 245, anywhere up to like 300. But I
Mhm.
love that concept because it gives you the luxury feel, but like a slower pace of fashion, and at a mid-range price point.
Mhm. And that's what I like about what, like how you said with slow luxury or slow fashion, as people like to call it, because there's more time that's consumed in building a garment, whether
Yeah.
it's like, a jacket or a shirt and things like that. And that's where the value comes in, and the value is higher because there's time and thought and care as far as the building of a garment, of a
Yes.
certain style of dress and things like that. So
To make it last,
yeah, to make
right?
it
To
last.
make it last.
Right.
So, when I'm manufacturing my pieces and I'm looking at the clothes and I'm talking to my teams overseas, they're amazed at what the request I have,
Right.
because I'm not creating a fast garment
Right.
that you can just post on Instagram or post on TikTok and move on. No, I want something that somebody can wear forever,
Yeah.
that can be wrapped up in their suitcase but still be, shaken out, and they're ready to go.
Yeah.
That takes more money at cost, more time as me as a designer, more detail, right? And it requires them to work harder.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I mean, because I have like that technical understanding, I know what it takes to create something that's gonna last.
Mhm.
And if it doesn't last, I'm willing to make the changes to make it last.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's also too with using real materials too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I seen a video as of recently about the whole thing with vegan leather. Vegan leather won't last you as long as real leather. Like
Hmm.
real leather will last you a long time rather than
Time.
vegan leather. Vegan leather, it's just imitation leather. That's like,
Okay.
instead of you getting real crab, you get an imitation crab. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So, the authentic, the organic material will last you longer.
Yeah. I mean, the whole leather and fur discussion, I've sat in a lot of debates. I'm a Canadian, so when it's cold, it's cold. It's
Right.
real cold.
Yeah.
It's real cold.
Yes,
And let
it's
me tell you, who needs to come out in those furs and those other jackets?
right, right,
I
right.
mean, now there's so much more technology behind the processing of these animals, like not
Yeah,
raising animals to be slaughtered, but
right.
ethically sourced. And I love those efforts, because some
Mhm.
places really need to have. So it's interesting how the fashion industry. I know people say, "Oh, it hasn't changed." There are small changes being made, and I
Yeah.
hope that they're sustainable for for my grandchildren's grandchildren.
Yeah, absolutely. Now,
Yeah.
as far as the fashion industry, as far as changes, like, what do you think are some of those changes possibly?
So the rise of Black designers,
Mhm.
the intentional push for Black designers. We're seeing more Black designers on the runways.
Mhm.
We're seeing more money being put behind Black designers. And I think Black designers coming from a sincere place. When I say a sincere place of inspiration, not having to redesign to match everybody, but to make something that's for Black women or for Black men based off of
Mhm.
their demographics requirements. And I love seeing it. I'm sorry to say. Like,
Mhm.
it's what we need. The typical Black person, the measurements are different, the clothing fit different, the colors are different. And in the past, Black women have had to, and I'll speak for my demographic, which is Black women, have had to force themselves in something that was not made for them.
Mhm.
Um, so that shift really it makes me excited.
Mhm.
I would also say, like, the whole rise of the influencer. has given Black designers even more voice,
Right.
right? Their clothes, that's what people want to wear to New York Fashion Week. That's what people want to wear in Milan. No longer are we looking, hoping to find a Black designer. There's so many options.
Right.
And I said in another interview that lets me know that my daughter's daughter would have an opportunity in this industry, right? As we continue
Mhm.
to push that discussion and we get to see it on the runway and we get to see Black designers in stores and celebrities and stylists are seeking out, intentionally, seeking. Um, and it will secure our future in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely, most definitely. Because the thing is, I love seeing the growth of Black designers myself as well. Hanifa, Brandon
Oh,
Blackwood,
Hanifa.
Christopher John
Brandon
Rogers.
Brandon Blackwood, when that, I don't know if you remember that Brandon Blackwood scandal. Not scandal, but it was a huge issue with a bag that he designed. And it looked one way on the internet, like on the website, but when people received it, it was completely different. So the quality was altered. It was everywhere. It was all over Twitter. It was all over
Mhm.
Instagram. People were posting videos. And I said, no, they are not going to make this is it for him. I was wrong. Brandon Blackwood, nominated CFDA Handbag Designers of the Year. He was nominated a couple months ago. I don't believe he won, but he came on. He apologized to everybody. He said he was going to refund everyone because you know how they be on Twitter. Okay.
Right.
And to see him rise again and even bigger, even better. Oh, the inspiration I got off of that. I said, Aquila, you were wrong. He has transformed. He has elevated. He's a leader. And that's what we like to see. Like you said, growth. The growth
Yes.
can't be beat there. Yeah.
So yeah, like I love like the growth of Black designers. Like I said, Christopher John Rogers, you have
Oh,
Sergio Hudson,
Christopher John Rogers. I remember seeing his name for the first time. And I said, wow, that's interesting. His brand name is so many letters, right? Because I'm thinking like
yeah.
when you print on a tag, because even though I had no fashion brand at that time, I was more of a client for these brands. So Saks and Neiman's, I used to be all up in there. So I used to be like, his name is so long, so many letters to fit on one tag. How is he going to do that? Like Christopher John Rogers, CFDA winner. I mean, one of the most sought after brands. One of the most respected, one of the most desired by all women, from the Hamptons to Accra. Everybody wants a Christopher John Rogers something, pencil, anything, because of the impact that he has made.
Absolutely.
It delights my heart. It inspires me. It inspires the next generation to keep going, to see, these things on the runways and in the magazines. Oh, well done to him and his team.
Absolutely. Totally agree. I absolutely agree. So I definitely want to go ahead and really talk about the marketing aspect of having a fashion brand. So for someone who is an emerging designer, what will be some of the things that you would say as far as advice of how to market and brand, a fashion brand?
Okay. So branding is a big deal. You really want people to feel the brand, and that's something I strive for. I want them to feel, I'm not a luxury brand, I'm more contemporary, but I want them to feel the quality of the brand and how I feel when I'm in it. Because remember, we're all e-commerce, so I want them to feel. I have to use my words, I have to use my images, I have to use the storytelling so that they can feel it, right? And be connected to it. So the story of my mother, like that's not just marketing. That's like, I want you to understand how connected I am to this fashion thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that you can want to feel the clothes and feel that through your clothing. I also believe content is everything. I was a blogger and content creator. So for me, I'm always creating content. I'm always thinking about new ideas. I'm always looking at the trends and seeing how I can apply it to our brand, and help elevate it or, kind of make it our own. And
Mhm.
I also believe that, with marketing, you have to reward those top customers.
Mhm.
That's what they do at all the big box stores. Loyalty programs is one way.
Mhm.
But like Saks and Neiman's, they will treat their top people who are buying 100,000 a year. Like I said, I used to do what I used to be buying from Fendi. They will treat you like a king and queen. So really understanding, your numbers, who's the top people who are buying, how can I serve them even more? How can I get their input? How
Right.
can I give them? Giving is a huge part of who I am and like a huge part of my brand. Um,
Mhm.
so it's not always just okay revenue, but how do we support the people who are helping us increase our revenue and then serving them even more and like really blowing their mind.
Absolutely, most definitely. And I
Yeah.
think giving back definitely, I could totally agree that it's absolutely very important to give
Hmm.
back to your customers. And what I like about, what you said is, not only being about colors, within your collection, selling like, beautiful garments, but also it's about the meaning and the connection behind it.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like for example, when we just talked about Brendan Blackwood, when he did the handbag called End Systemic Racism, you
I
know,
love that bag.
it wasn't just like, aesthetically, like something to buy, but it was also like, yo, it has a statement piece. It was
Yeah.
in the wake of what was happening with George Floyd. You know
Yes.
what I mean? So definitely like I like how when people make fashion pieces and it has a statement behind it.
Yeah, that social impact piece is always beautiful to see. And again, it takes intention. It's Brandon saying, "Hey, I gotta do something for my people. I've got to make something that will last." And that bag is highly sought after. Everybody wants that bag. When he
Mhm,
drops those bags, everybody's lined up. Another brand, I don't know if it's by
mhm.
him, another one that has a bag that says "Protect Black Women."
Size?
I don't, yes, that's another one that everybody, is has made a mark on the industry. Highly
Mhm.
sought after for Black
Yeah.
women to pull up with that. It's a statement. It's not
Yes.
just fashion; it's a statement,
Yes.
and it's beautiful to see because not many people want to, trouble those waters or
Mhm.
test those waters, but fashion
Mhm.
you can.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely, and I like those 2 brands, what Brandon did, but also, what Sice did as well, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because it spoke like how you said, it spoke a statement about what was happening at
Yes.
with the plight of Black
Yes.
people, especially Sice, I like how they did with the protect Black women, protect Black people,
Yes.
protect Black kids, you know what I mean? So that's all
Yes.
on, their handbags,
Yes.
so that's really, really cool to see that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely, most definitely. I wanna go ahead and really push forward and talk about, in regards to the business aspect of fashion as well. So there's a remarkable book that everybody loves. It's the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, where it talks about the cutthroat nature of business as well as life. And I definitely want to go ahead and ask, what are some things that you've learned in regards to navigating the fashion industry?
Mm. I think in fashion, they love you today, they don't love you tomorrow.
Mm.
They love you today,
Yeah.
but not guaranteed to love you tomorrow. And we're not talking about emotional, but I'm talking about the design of the clothing. I look at some
Right.
of my favorite designers. Before that one dress hit, they had 40 other dresses before, you
Right.
know, and we're excited about the one dress, but they had many dresses before and many dresses after. So
Mhm.
they love her today, but they might not like her tomorrow with the next thing she releases. And
Mhm.
that cannot hold you back.
Yeah.
That's how the process goes. You know, to get one right thing, you got to go through nine others. To
Yeah.
get one mega hit, you got to go through. Some people it happens overnight, but like if you go back to Hanifa and we see all that she's ever designed, that cardigan with the fringe, nobody like that is an iconic. I think it's called the Mia cardigan.
Mhm.
It's like iconic. Everybody
Mhm.
wants it. Black women flock towards that. Well, she designed many things before. So that
Mm.
trial and error, that I love you today, but I might not love you tomorrow,
Right.
is real. Another thing is you have to treat everybody in this fashion industry with respect, from the intern to the CEO,
Yes.
to the person who's making the patterns of your clothes, to the people who are selling it, the people who are
Right.
wearing it. They are all a part of your climate or your atmosphere as a designer. And when you start treating people poorly, it will get out. There will be a thread on Reddit about you. You know,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
don't want that bad press. And for me, there's always these opportunities. Like I remember being in Milan Fashion Week, and this lady that I followed, she's like, "Let's meet up for lunch." She's one of the top clients at Saks and Neiman's, and I used to be in that circle a little bit. So I was like, sure. I meet up with her, and we're at this hotel, and in work walks, she's like, my friend's coming to meet with us, and I'm like, okay, okay, great.
Mhm.
In walks in one of the most powerful women in fashion, and my jaw almost dropped. She was the one who was coming to meet us, and I sat there. I was silent. She's like, so I heard you're a blogger. I said, yeah, I am, but I'm also a client of Neiman's. And she's like, okay, whatever I say, like, can't go on like, your blog or anything. I'm like, I'm very confidential. I'm very, so she knew she was meeting me. She knew that she would have to like, put that clause. And I thought to myself, I'm like, wow, what if I was mean to this lady and told my other friend, like, I don't want to meet you for lunch or whatever. I would have lost this amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
So, you really have to be kind to people. And not just because you want something, because you never know like what door they'll open for you
Yeah.
and how that can change the course of your life, or if you decide to enter the industry. So treat people with kindness. You never know what they're going through. And I know that's like something everybody tweets on Twitter. I mean X. But it's true.
Yeah.
Treat people with kindness, from the most top client to the person who's cutting the fabric.
Absolutely, most of I could totally agree. I believe that kindness is very, very important, and showing respect is very, very important because there again, like how you said, and this my dad also told me too. Be cool with everybody. You never know who you run into.
No, you never
So
know. You
so it,
never know. And they might be low now, but in 3 months they're the next top person. So you never
mhm,
know. And I think sometimes we all have challenges, or we have make missteps, but we really have to put our best attitude and all those things forward, so that we can treat people with
yeah, absolutely, and plus, it doesn't cost you anything to be kind.
kindness.
You
No,
know
it
what I
costs you
mean?
nothing. It costs you nothing.
Yeah,
And
because
if you can't find kindness, find a therapist, please. If you can't do the kindness thing, find a therapist.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, right, absolutely. Now, as far as the fashion industry as well, do you think hypersensationalism plays a role in the fashion industry?
Oh yeah. Like, okay, so fashion industry stands on its own. Like if we look at sneaker culture,
Mhm.
we see how the sneaker culture thing has just blown up.
Right.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
A sneaker that you buy for $100 in 3 months can be worth $3,000,
Mhm.
you know? But that's actually really good for me as a designer, because some of these designs that, people love and like get excited about, it gives you some credibility as a
Mhm.
designer that your work is really like touching the masses,
Right.
and people love it. So, I really believe that it's a huge piece. And I think that it should be embraced. It forces you to put out your best work and
Mhm.
consistently act on every creative idea that you've had. And that's something that I'm not even learning that. I know that's what it takes.
Mhm.
So every time I sit down to design something, I'm not just like, I have so much inspiration that I am pulling from
Mhm.
to then design it so that it can be the next best thing, the next piece of, that we're going to be saving for our sons or our granddaughters.
Absolutely. And I think
Mm.
also too is part of being, in, whether it's fashion or in art or in the beauty industry, you want to be memorable.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I like I said there again with Alexander McQueen and Gualpe and Mugler. When you look at their pieces, especially like Mugler stuff like in the mid or late 90s, where the garments were so avant-garde and so cool,
Mhm.
it was really, really memorable. Same with Alexander
Yeah.
McQueen's, garments and especially with Gualpe, just the amount of
Yeah.
time she took to make those garments and,
Yeah.
paying homage to her culture, Chinese
Yeah.
culture.
Yeah.
And, those are in a museum, and I've seen, Gualpe's pieces, like,
Ri-
wow, like
That's Rihanna wore her to the Met Gala. Met
Mhm.
worn, yeah, that yellow, yeah, I think it was the
Yes, the
yellow
big
gowns
yellow, robe.
jacket, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're not designing for everybody when you're designing for a specific person.
Right.
And that's what I think about when I'm sitting down. Who is the woman that I'm designing for?
Mhm.
Be it current or long gone, right? And
Mhm.
what is she trying to say? What is she
Mhm.
trying to feel? And what is she trying to um, live?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think every designer has their signature, and that's something that every when you start fashion design day one, you figure out, okay, what's my signature?
Mhm.
So yeah, I think I use that a lot when I'm designing, when I'm thinking of what I'm gonna do next, or what I'm gonna
Mhm.
present next.
It reminds me of Diane von Furstenberg, like, cause I remember I was
Yeah,
taking her master class. She said, "Everything you do is at the service of the brand."
yeah,
You have to listen to see how people you have to understand how people live.
hmm
Everything is, from the packaging, the logo, how do you
hmm
stand out from the crowd? So,
yeah,
that's definitely a thing to really keep in mind as well.
yeah. And you have to see. I don't know if you well, black fashion right now. There's a whole rise in monogram pieces.
Mhm.
So designers that have done really well are now releasing like monogram piece, a monogram,
Mhm.
and then like collections around the monogram. Why? When I think about why are they doing that? Okay, they've gotten their success with whatever, and now they want to make a stamp. Like when you see that, like just like when you see a Fendi or you see a Louis Vuitton, based off of the logo,
Right.
and that allows you for longevity,
Right.
right? So
Mhm.
I started thinking, I gotta get a monogram too. And I've already started like mocking up like I'll just sketch up like different monograms. Um, and that's how you build like a forever heritage brand.
Right.
It has nothing to do with quality. It has to do everything with people being able to look across the room and know exactly what that means. And maybe
Yeah.
not the random person on the street, but fashion people, right? Because I might be just wearing a white t-shirt, but it's Marnie. Like a fashion
Yeah.
person knows that white t-shirt is Marnie. Or you wearing like some old dusty sneakers, but it's a golden goose, right?
Mhm.
And that's how the brands continue to proliferate, by fashion, people who are knowledgeable about fashion, and the random people who are just like so intrigued by what you're wearing, and then want to purchase and be a part of that brand, and then build some
Mhm.
type of loyalty to the brand
Mhm.
forever.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. Now, if you had a top 5 list of your favorite Black designers, who would they be and why?
Okay. Anima Iris, an amazing black brand that I've just fallen in love with. Her story, her bags are made in Senegal. Her story is amazing. Her personality is hilarious. And I just got some great things from her recently. I have to add my mentor and friend, Fumi the Label. She has created one of the most iconic dresses, maybe of this generation, of this decade,
Mhm.
that is all over social media. So I would add Fumi the Label. I would also add, I know people, I love a Shane Justin out of Miami. Okay. Shane Justin is a leader in streetwear design for Black designers. He has a different approach to life, but I love what he has done. And he was like my first interest he inspired me a lot to pursue fashion design.
Mhm.
Tajane Burnett, she's a shoe designer out of Toronto. The work and her work and the designs that she creates, they can't be beat. It's truly an ode to Black women, as well as to craftsmanship of shoes. So
Right.
I really admire her, and just again, out of Toronto, like that's my home city. So I'm gonna
Mhm.
I'm gonna ride or die there. And then I would have to say Brandon Blackwood. Really inspired by him and how he's built this brand with his own two hands, and makes an impact that will last like generations. Like Brandon Blackwood, everyone is talking about him. Like
Agreed.
everybody wants a bag.
Yes.
Everybody wants to be like in his proximity to him. Um, and there's also some other marquee, Christopher John Roberts, but I think he is just, um, you know, next level. I mean, like he is like luxury, uh, for Black fashion, and definitely the standard. Um, So yeah, that's a very short list. I could go on and on and on and
Mm.
on and on.
Yeah, I love how you have, like, the Telfar bags behind you.
Oh, Telfar. Okay, I met Telfar in Paris. I was there for an event with Vogue, and they were there, and his the pitch to me, it was so interesting. A unisex brand, and I was like, okay. Showed me the logo. I love the logo. The logo is super fly.
Mhm.
And it was not until, pandemic that I realized that people were like fanatical over this Telfar. So this one is mine, and this one is my aunt's. My daughter's aunt gave her the pink one. She's 2 years old. Um, like Telfar is another inspiration, and how the brand continues to pour back into the Black community. When
Right.
they had that event in Brooklyn at the Rainbow, I don't know if you saw that. That
Mm-mm.
was iconic. Took over the rainbow, the 3-story rainbow in Brooklyn.
Hmm.
Filled the whole store with Telfar, and you could come in and get like whatever bags you wanted. It was, you know,
Wow.
it was really monumental. Everybody was talking about it. But yeah.
Mm. Wow. Now, where do you see your brand in 10 years?
So in 10 years, I want my brand to stay very small.
Mhm.
Some people are like, oh, I want to be in Saks. No, I want to be in Neiman Marcus. I want to be very small, very in control,
Yes.
and creating all of the clothes that I've ever had in my brain.
Mhm.
So even right now, I'm doing, I'm, pr- you know, and right now it's me and my aunt, and we're doing samples like 10, marking up like 10 samples a week, if
Mhm.
not more. So
Wow.
like designing it, then doing the sample, getting it, like we're just going through samples. Some things don't even touch social media because we're not ready, or we don't think it's good enough.
Mhm.
So, I want to keep at that pace and
Mhm.
bootstrapping this on my own. Thanks
Mhm.
for my husband, who's my ultimate partner. And all of the success I've had before has helped me. But, together I'm able to produce with my team and design, create patterns, and then produce. And that process works really well for me. It allows me to
Mhm.
be very sincere and authentic in my design. So I want to keep that going for the
Mhm.
next 5 years, because I really don't think successful brands um, really hit their success until a bit of some time. It takes
Yeah.
some time, right? And
Mhm.
I'm here for the long haul. So I'm excited to, like, in the next 5 years, still be doing this process that we have, this flow, this design flow. And I would love to be on some celebs. So I have some people who inspire my design. I would love for them to wear my clothes and work with some amazing stylists. Um, but that's where I'm starting in the next 5 years.
Yeah, so cool. I want to shift gears and talk about the mental health, the importance of mental health, because I think mental health is very, very important. So, how have you been able to balance being a fashion designer and businesswoman with mental health?
I'm also a mom. I'm a wife. I'm a firstborn daughter from the West
Mhm.
Indies. Yeah, I have a mom who's not well. I mean, all of these levels to the cake, and I have to slice that cake every single day and have a lot of slices for many people and give and serve
Yeah.
everybody. I'm a sister. My brother and I are best friends.
Mhm.
It's a lot. And some
Yeah.
days I'm just like, I don't think I want to get out of bed, but then I think about the why behind this, and which is my mom. Girl, you better get up. Get up out of that bed. Go drink your water. Go get your decaf coffee and get to work. But then there's some times where I'm just like completely zoned out, and I really have to spend some time with myself and not with the business and the image, and just like
Right.
pour back into myself. That could be going for a walk, getting my nails done, reading fashion magazines, or like deep diving into like different brands that I love. And that helps me just like pour back into myself and be able to give as a mother, as a wife, as a sister, as a neighbor in my community, in a community that has so many challenges. Um,
Mhm.
I gotta be full. So, that's how I manage the mental health part. But there's a lot of moments where it's like, yo, I could this is not working as I planned. Or my brain is like shaking in my head or rattling in my head.
Right.
Um, and that means I got to get my nails done, or I've got to, write in my notebook and journal.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Last but not least, where can people find you on social media, and where can
Okay.
people support you in your work? How can people support you?
Yeah, definitely check out my website, maravalmade.com. And then you can find me on Instagram, Aquila Farrell, also on Twitter. I am popping on Twitter. So head over to my Twitter or my X. I love
Hmm.
interacting with people there. I also just started up a new initiative where I'm doing a Black designers meetup once a month to connect with other Black designers so we can collaborate and just chat because it's stressful out here sometimes.
Hmm.
So I'm excited about that. So if you're interested in that, definitely DM me on Instagram, on X, aka Twitter, and also on my website. You can shop on maravalmade.com. We have all of our pieces up there, and we're releasing a new collection in January.
That's really, really incredible. Well, thank you so much, Aquila, for jumping onto the show. I
Thank
love your
you.
work. I love
Thank
how your
you.
garments are so colorful, very fun, very
Thank
vibrant.
you.
I
Thank
love
you.
how this line as well is in dedication to your mom. That's really, really cool, and that's really, really amazing. So I really thank you and appreciate you for jumping onto the show, and I really appreciate this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you for elevating and amplifying our voices and giving us an opportunity to share our stories. Thank you, Asia.
Yes, absolutely. Take care.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye. Hello, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to click the bell for notifications. Also, follow me on my social media platforms and visit my website, ASIATHABIRD.com, and be on the lookout for more interviews to come very soon. Take care, stay healthy, and stay beautiful. Bye-bye.